Yo, I've been farming streets and labs for billions of rubles over the last 2 years, and around a year ago I figured I should share the wealth of knowledge that I've accumulated in that time. But a lot has changed since then, and I decided that it's just about time I create an updated, comprehensive streets and labs loot guide. I'll timestamp the video, so if you're looking for something specific, you can just skip right ahead. But for anyone that is curious, I'd like to explain a little bit more about what this guide is going to entail. First off, you'll notice that the runs will be held on PvE, and although the loot quantity is drastically different between PvE and PvP, the quality and locations is pretty much identical between both versions of the game. So whether you're looking to edge out a little bit more profit per raid just to survive in PvP, or amass unreasonable amounts of rubles in PvE, this guide should be pretty much everything you need to get your bread up. And to elaborate just a little bit more on the difference between PvE and PvP, every loot spawn and location that I cover here will have the same items in them in both versions, but for some reason BSG decided that they just hate us loot goblins, and they take the spawn rates of nearly every single spawn on PvP. So although they do exist identically in both versions of the game, and you will be able to find loot in every location mentioned in PvP, it's just much less likely that you'll find any given spawn populated with an item in PvP. With that clarification out of the way, I'll go over the keys that I run for streets, as that's where I'm going to be starting off. To start off in the Concordia side of the map, we got CONC Office, which is inside of CONC 64. I wouldn't get CONC Office unless you already have 64, and 64 is usually a little pricey, but on PvE it's nothing. And then after that you have CONC 63, 34, 8, Cinema, and CONC Security. All of these are usually 30 to 60k, just depending on the market. And they've all got like gold spawns, tech spawns, you name it. And then right after that we have TARBANK. This is going to be on the other side of the med camp. And this is going to open 2 rooms inside of the bank that'll have a safe as well as a register. And depending on your luck, you're going to be able to pull 100 to 300k just raw ruble cash out of the safe in the register. Moving on from there, there's the Iron Gate key, which is on the top floor of the building where CHEK 15 is. This one I don't normally open every single raid because there is 3 different gates that it opens. But there's one at the end of the hall before the drop down that you can use a scope and identify whether or not there's a gold spawn there. I'll show you where it is when we get in. And then there's CHEK 15. This one is the most pricey in this corner of the map, as it's, you know, around 1 to 2 mil typically, and it's going to have rare spawns as well as tech spawns in there. This key I've never had not pay for itself. It's always a good hit on PvE, and then on PvP usually it pays for itself. I don't think I've had one that hasn't paid for itself yet. Usually you profit pretty decently with it, and it's just nice to look at extra loot halfway through the map. And then the stairs key right after this doesn't get you loot, but it is a good rotate right next to CHEK 15. And the negotiation I only hit because it's an extra chance to find the relax key. I'll go over how the relax key works when we get to the building where this key is, but essentially there's hard spawns for it, and one of them is inside of this key, so I always bring it so I can check there as well. And then that whole corner of the map is pretty much empty of keys, although there's a lot to loot that I'll show you along the way. The next key that we have is Beluga. This is going to be all the way up in the mall, and it gives you a room with a good handful of gold spawns, a couple of streamer items, and a PC block. And then after Beluga you skip a little bit more of the map until you hit MVD, which is where KOLLONTAY can spawn. And these keys are really solid hit every single raid. It has very good like top of the line ammo spawns as well as a couple gold spawns in it. And then moving on from there, right next door there's the finance building where they have finance S and the normal finance key. The small office is on the bottom floor. There's a jacket, there's a safe, there's 2 PC blocks and some drawers. And then the normal finance key upstairs, what does it have? 2, 4, 6, 1, 2, 3, 4. I think it has 5 or 6 PC blocks, I'm not sure. But it also has a good handful of gold spawns, so I always check this on the way through. And then finally for the normal keys, there's REA, which is, again, kind of on its own out in the corner. So I don't typically hit this unless it's on a good path, and I'll show you what I mean when we get there. But this also has gold spawns and intel spawns. And then there's a relax key. This one, like I said, there's hard spawns for it in the building where this is. I'll get into it when we get into the raid. I wouldn't ever buy this key because you can get it in the raid, every single raid, and I'll show you where it is, or where those spawns are. But inside of relax, there's moonshine and gold spawns, and there's a good bit of them. So if you're looking for statues, or you're looking for biddies, or you're just trying to get your hands on a little bit of vodka or whiskey, this is the key to go to. And then finally, we have the mark keys. These ones, a bit more pricey on PvE than PvP. These are like a couple mil on PvP, and they're like over 10 consistently on PvE. Regardless though, I think they will pay for themselves, whether on PvP or PvE, but I think their prices are pretty accurately priced out. You'll get about 1/5 the amount of loot on PvP compared to PvE, but the loot that you're going to be finding in these is definitely worth the price, regardless of what server you're on. So with that out of the way, I guess we'll get into the raid on Streets of Tarkov. I'll go daytime and hope everything goes well. Okay, hopefully we get a good spawn. I mean, it's a good one. I'm going to start out by running you over to the REA building first so that we can just do a full loop of the map, because I have a feeling if we're spawning over here, we're going to have... We don't. Okay, never mind, I'm completely wrong. Typically, the way that the extracts work is that if you spawn on one side of the map, you're going to have extracts on the other. And on streets, that means that if you spawn on like this side, the cinema side of the map, you're going to have expo and mall extracts. And if you spawn over by Concordia, you're going to have extracts over here. etc. I mean, you get the picture. So first of all, this is the building that REA is in. There's cinema over there. This is the whole building. Inside, first of all, there's duffels here. I always like to check duffels. Duffels always have beautiful loot in them. I don't know, if you're looking for like any of your Kappa items, these are very common. You find your like evasion armbands. And then this table has a food spawn right there. Food spawns are weird on street specifically, because they can all have ammo, they can have food, or they can have fabrics. So included in the fabrics is paracords, which is like the biggest money you can get. And pretty much every food spawn on the map, you can have paracords, moonshine, sugar. They're all worth looking at. So whenever I say there's a food spawn, I'm talking about, you know, one of those paracord, sugar, moonshine spawns. But it can also just have a can of tuna. Or a hot rod. I don't know, I probably shouldn't be hitting all of these duffels if we're trying to get through the whole map in one raid. But down here, drawers and bag again. Worth hitting if you're on a scav run or something. Up here, a couple of PC blocks. Like tech spawns here. I think there's another tech spawn on the table. Or this table, one of the two. It's not there, okay. One G-phone. Tech spawn on the table there. Duffel bag in the front here as well as on the side. And then all the way around here, right at the top of the stairs, is the REA room. This is going to be this REA key that I was telling you about. It's kind of in the own corner of the map. There's no other keys over here. And this has a couple of barter spawns on the table here. I've seen like motors or drills. And then there's an intel or a rare spawn there as well as here. So in REA, the way that they work is kind of weird. Because all of the rare spawns can either have, you know, a statue or a gold spawn, or they'll have like an intel or an S diary or a SAS drive. Could be any of those things. There's also an intel spawn right here under the cup. So all of these can have like intel or SAS drives. You know what I mean? Intel is going to be like a document style item. And then right here on the keyboard, like right where I'm aiming right there, there's a gold spawn. It's just not populated this way. And then in the papers right here as well, there's a gold spawn. We got pretty unlucky. This is a really bad REA. Usually it pays out a lot better. So from here, you could go Concordia. You'll see if you look at my list here, we have Expo and Stylo, so we have to go to the far side of the map. So typically if I have a spawn like this, what I'll do is just loot one side of the map, either the Concordia CHEK side, or if I want to do a quick run, I'll just hit Finance, MVD, and just leave out the mall. But for the sake of the video, I want to show you every side of the map that I can. So this road you want to be careful if you're on PvP. There's a spawn like halfway down the road in that building as well as at the end of the road. And both of those players will walk out of to fight you. And if the PMC that you're fighting knows that you spawn here, because they know the spawns too, like I've just been saying, they'll be aiming down the road waiting for you to walk out in the open here. So if you spawn here, I usually just jump to this room. You want to be in here ASAP. Sounds like there's company in here. Don't know where they went. Maybe they went around the front. I'm not worried about them. Anyways, in here, I do like this a lot if I'm on a run where I need PC block here, and a PC block there, as well as 4 drawers and 12 more drawers. I think you'll find, though, a lot of good loot can spawn in drawers. You got key spawns for every map that you're on, as well as potential, you know, USD, rubles, documents. Lots of barter items that you need for your hideout. So if you're trying to build your hideout, or you're just trying to sell good hideout items, like crafting items, I think drawers are a really good hit. The first thing we're going to hit here, though, is the abandoned factory marquee. This is typically the path that I'll take. If I spawn over there, you hit REA and then you hit factory first. Especially on PvP, I like to hit marked rooms before anything else because there's a lot of competition for them. You probably just don't get the loot for it if you're not the first one there. And in these, you're looking for not armors as much as you are the guns. I think at least one gun's worth picking up every time. And then, especially in this one, if you get a big pile of weapons here, you want to get rid of all of them. Because, like, where this bullet is here, I've had a lot of the times happen where underneath an armor and a gun, there's been a colored keycard here, which is the main draw to these marked rooms. There's a Glock. This is a really unlucky factory. I notoriously have very bad luck in factory for some reason on PvE, but a lot of people I've seen have good luck, so I'd say it's worth picking up. Regardless, you will make your money back. Surely. And then on the shelf right here, like in between the books, you'll see it sticking out if it's there. There's another colored keycard spawn. I think I got like a blue and a green there, the entire wipe. Out this side into the courtyard, and you're going to go through this tunnel to the main road. If you do have a situation where there's a PvP situation, scenario, someone's holding it down or camping it, you could also just go through these, and you'll end up at the finance building, which is like right there. I'll show it to you when we get there. But it's just right around the corner. But because we're on PvE, I'm not too worried about anyone camping the road. I'm going to hit this, what I call the suicide safe. It's a very risky hit on PvP because it's very easy to get caught out here. Another thing you can do to speed things up, I only have 2 Propatil, maybe not. I'll show it to you later. But there's a way you can cheese max attention. Anyways, this is the relax key. This used one of those 2 uses on the key. Coming in here, on the table there's a potential moonshine spawn. In the chair here we have a skull. This can be anything up to a biddy, any of those gold spawns. Duffel bag there. And then another moonshine spawn on the floor right there. And then on the floor here there's typically a duffel. And then on all of these tables, there can be moonshine or whiskey. In all of these chairs, all of these couches, you want to hover loot. I think that's something that I should probably explain. Hover looting, you're going to stick your face in here, and you see how there's like a little dot? When I'm near the raven, there's a little white dot in the center. If there's like a small item, you know what, let's just, for the sake of the argument here. You can barely see that, but there's items that'll clip through these cushions and you won't even be able to see them. So you want to hover loot, just hover your cursor over where on the sheet it will be. And you'll get that little marker, and then you can like, it goes like light, 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 and then darker, darker, and then right when you get next to the item, it'll highlight. But you just kind of go to pinpoint it based on how light it is on certain parts of it. Hopefully I get an opportunity to show you what I mean. But then here, there's a gold spawn on the ground here and here. Gold spawns can also have statues. And then again, all the tables can have moonshine. On the couch right here, there's a gold spawn. On this chair here, there's a gold spawn. And then there's 2 gold spawns on each of the cracks of this couch, as well as right here on this couch. And then over here, again, moonshine on the table. Gold spawns on the couch here and here. On each of these chairs, right in the middle of them. There's a moonshine spawn right there. And then a gold spawn in the jacket there, as well as on the chair right here. There it is. See, this is what I'm talking about. You can't see it at all. It doesn't actually stick through. But because you had the white dot, I knew that there's an item here. So that's called hover looting. So whenever I say hover looting in the future, you're just kind of like hovering your cursor around to look for that dot. And then you use it to pinpoint it by how dark it is. Until it's right there. How bright it is, I guess. You know what I mean. And then the reason that I have these keys separated up to here is that sick case, on streets especially, you'll have a lot of sick case items that can only go in here, like pro kills and skulls. So it's worth having a little bit extra room in your sick case, even if that means moving keys to a docs case. So next we have a free room here, actually. This one does not cost any keys to get into. Whoa. Okay. Those are AI PMCs. We'll take care of them in a minute. On this second floor here, a bunch of food spawns in here. They could all be, you know, fabrics or sugar are like the main thing on streets. You'll find a lot of sugar, which are usually like 100k. And then here's like ammo spawn. This is a mechanical or a tech item spawn. And then another tech item spawn. I've seen green bats and Tetris on those. Toolbox there if you're looking for hideout items. And then up here, there's a quick end here. These can also spawn in these fabric spawns, but this I usually find a lot of fleece or armorite up there if you're looking for your textiles. And then in here, med spawn on the floor. There's a gold spawn on the chair, and then on the table right here where this roller is. And then a nice little med box here you can hit as well. Maybe get a lucky Ludex. And then in here, food spawn there, med spawn on here, and then a tiny little duffel bag to hit as well. But first, as long as they're not in here, I can show you this room. 12 drawers, or 8 drawers here, a beautiful hit. And then there's a couple of barter item spawns on the table there, both of these shelves and on the ground on either side. The best thing you're looking for out of anything that I call a barter spawn is a green bat. Those are going for like 80 to 100k. Or on PvE, they're like 3 to 400k. And then all of these shelves can have food spawns on them, like you'll see here. These can all be sugar or moonshine, which is like your best pulls, obviously. I'm gonna grab this for a little snack later if I need one. Let's see what we can do about these PMCs. I don't see them anymore. I'm getting ratted. Alright, so through this tunnel here is usually where I find a... Oh god. I almost shot the beat here. That could have been bad. I was getting ready. He was hiding on the dumpster. I'm struggling right now. So this yellow building is called the Finance Building. In this bottom floor corner door, this is Finance S, or Small Office Key. I am out of bullets, so... Like I said, jacket, 12 drawers, safe here. See what we can pull from the safe. Little diary, and then a PC block there and here. There's no gold spawns in there, but upstairs This is the normal finance key. Like I said, right, we got REA, we got Finance South, we got Finance. We're going in order here. So there's a gold spawn on the floor here and here. Inside of the shelf, you need to hover loot because it'll be underneath the shelf sometimes. On the floor here, as well as in the shelf here. This is a really criminally unlucky one. And then occasionally, I've seen a gold spawn behind this phone here, but it's really rare. I don't know why, but some spawns are much more rare than others. And then, you know, PC block, PC block, PC block, PC block, and PC block. All of those. And then food spawns on all these desks. Moving on from finance, next we're going to go to MVD. And actually, before we go to MVD, like I said, duffel bags all over the place. You want to keep your eyes peeled for duffels. These will drastically increase your profit per raid if you hit every duffel on the way. As well as if you're looking for hideout items or you're looking for your kappa items, those are a surefire way to get them. So one thing you do want to be careful of walking up to this building, the MVD schoolhouse, is that KOLLONTAY can be inside. If you want to, you could like peek at the doors here, the windows here, sorry. And you can kind of see the tops of their helmets if they're in there, but it's possible that they're all sitting in the lobby. And KOLLONTAY can disable your gun, so you don't really just want to charge in. You just kind of jiggle peek these corners, you lean peek them, see if he's here. It looks like we're safe. You'll see him in the hallway here or down here in the main area if they are here. Another thing, duffel bag, med bag, med bag. Those are always good to hit if you're trying to ruble run. And then this is the MVD room. Inside of here, you're going to find lots of high tier ammo. Like you'll see here, M61, 7N40, hybrid, spear ammo. Like, okay. A beautiful example of what I was talking about. Gold spawn, next to his pinky here is a Bitcoin. There's a gold spawn behind the water cooler here, which is a skull, luckily. There's a gold spawn that can spawn like right here, but if it's a bigger statue, sometimes it'll fall to the ground, so you want to check on top of the printer tray as well as on the floor. And then on the chair here, and sometimes it'll fall to the ground, like same with this one, it'll fall down, it'll fall off the chair onto the ground here. So what is that? 1, 2, 3, 4 gold spawns. And then duffel bag, PMC, and then all of these ammos should be top tier ammos, more 7N40. PS12B, coppers for the deagle. All good ammo. And then on the way out, there's a duffel bag spawn right there. It's dynamic though, as well as a duffel bag here. Let's get the biddy safely and securely in the dog's case. I think I'll mention this now because I do have a couple of these highlighted. A lot of items that are a little bit more volatile on the market are going to be worth grabbing, and you can just sell them when they're on a good period, but I would advise you either use Tarkov Dev or Tarkov-market.com. And both of those have an active, like, live reporting on the market that you can track whatever price, whatever item you find in a raid is. So if you ever find something that you don't know what it's worth, you could look it up on Tarkov.dev and see what it's going for on the market at that time. Walking up here, this is the green flare extract. I should have brought a green flare so I could show you this run. But you want to be careful. These snipers will gun you down if you stand in the open for too long. But typically they just lay down on their first aggro. And then walking up here, a lot of PMC do like to rat down here if you're on PvP servers, so you got to be careful. This is one of the biggest spawns on the map as far as profit per map goes. It's a very rare spawn, but there's a possibility that there's a key here called the Rusted Bloody Key. And it's not here, but it'll spawn either on this hook right here or on this hook up here. And it gives you access to a special room. I'll show you where it is this raid. But it can have mark keys or Bitcoin in it, so you definitely want to look for that key every single raid, because finding a mark key is going to boost your profit by a lot. Running through here as well, duffel bags, duffel bags, duffel bags. We're going under the mall. This is my favorite path to go through because you don't have to go through the open. It's a very ratty way to go through the mall, but it's safe. It's effective. There's a PMC body in here. If you stick your nose in, you can loot it. This is just like a dead body. Random items, just like any of them. They could have good armors on them, potentially. It's worth checking. And then coming through here, I always like to path out this way. There's med spawns on the ground on this little bloodstain. On this pile of meds. And then on the ground here, I've seen green bats, AWLs, or sewing kits if you're looking for those. There's a toolbox here. There's a med spawn up here. I've seen a Lexon once. There's 2 spawns, I guess, right there and there. And then there's a little trinket spawn here, AWLs, sewing kits, like I said. Or Tetris, and then on here, the ground right here, there's also a med spawn. Any med spawn on streets can have a LEDX in it, although it's very rare. But I think it's worth eyeballing most of them on your way through. You're going to walk through here anyways. And then you're going to want to have your melee with you. I don't. So I gotta shoot the window out, and you just jump, and you can go right through that curtain. And then this is what I call the biddy couch. This is the free room in Beluga. So you want to hover loot this couch because they'll all sit underneath the surface of it, except for right there, you can see them peeking out. But pretty much every cushion can have a spawn in it. This one right here, and all of them can be, you know, biddies, skull rings, veritas, anything like that. Just gold item spawns. Okay, I'm getting aggroed by a PMC from Narnia. And then if you go upstairs here, you want to be careful. This gets ratted a lot on PvP, and somehow in PvE, AI will just be sitting up here. They'll gun you down as well. I've had it happen before, where I was opening this door, the Beluga key door, and a PMC threw a nade at me. A PMC AI threw a nade at me. I actually just got ratted on PvE. Anyways, there's a gold spawn on the floor here, as well as in the carpet here. You have to hover loot. There's an intel spawn for an intel folder right there, as well as on the table right here. And then on this table, in front of each of the chairs, there's a barter spawn. And then on this chair, there's also a gold spawn. And I think there's a gold spawn on the floor here, although it's been a while since I've seen it. And then there's a PC block here. You want to check all those for GPUs. And a jacket right here. Now moving on from Beluga, our next key on the list after Beluga is Negotiation. But there's a handful of rooms that I want to show you between here and Negotiation. First of all, the way that I love to get out of here, especially if there's someone out front that sounds like they're fighting, you can just walk up to this and vault over it, and it gets you through the hole. And then it's a lot safer to cross the street right here. Oh, he's still mad. Oh, brother. This fence you can vault, you can jump it, whatever. And then I like to go through this back courtyard because, again, the more back alleys you go through on streets, the less likely you are to die on any given raid. It definitely would be a lot quicker to skirt through every raid by running through the main streets over and over. And on PvE, you can probably get away with that, but if you're rubling on PvP, it's definitely worth going back and forth between these back alleys, and it'll cost a little bit more time, but you'll live a lot more often. Anyways, this building is the first part of Presidential. Got a grenade box here and there, as well as a med bag on the table there typically, and on the floor there, but neither of them are there as per usual. And if you take a left out the front door here, there's a chain of buildings here. These have so many drawers, so if you're doing a drawer run for profit, I'd say it's absolutely worth it. You know, nuts and bolts, blue tapes. These can have green bats or any good keys in them. I just want to hit a couple of these, get a good, you know, like I said, Beluga. This key cost me 100k to buy before this raid, and that's 100k in the drawer right there. It's definitely worth it. If you're looking for any money that you can get your hands on, loot every drawer. It takes a lot longer to get through the raid, but I mean, if your main objective is rubles, or you want specific items that can be found in drawers, it's always worth hitting this building. There's 8 there. There's 8 there. There's another 4 here. And then inside of this door, 8, 8, 8 more. It's crazy. Is this safe lootable? Nope. Okay. I don't know. That back room's kind of new this way. But then in here, open this door. Duffel bag spawn there. There's a couple of duffel bags here and there on these benches. Another duffel bag in there. And then 12 more drawers here. And then after you hit all those, if you are hitting them, or if you skip them, I run across the main road here. This is one of the main roads that you do have to cross, regardless of what path you're taking. This is Golden World, another free room. On all of these podiums, on these middle islands, there's gold spawns. You do have to hover loot a lot here, because some stuff will hide on the floorboards. There's a gold spawn in this area, somewhere around here, on this pedestal here, on the floor there, on the floor here, on this pedestal. I think there's one on the floor here, and then on this pedestal as well. Sometimes that one will fall off, it's a bigger statue. And then a lot of these, like Golden World, I think has been nerfed a lot, so these spawns are really rare to find. So although I'm saying there's a spawn in all of these, you usually find like one item max inside of this building per raid. Moving on from Golden World though, we're going to go through these arches. This used to be like a scav checkpoint extract, but they expanded the map to go that way. In my original loot guide, I had you looting all of that mail building. Honestly, if you're not hitting drawers and PC blocks, this building is nothing anymore. There used to be a lot of gold spawns in there, and now there's like one. It's a big waste of time, and it's a high traffic area. I think it's just not worth hitting, personally, but I guess if you're doing a drawer run or you're doing a PC block run, it could be worth doing a little run through. In this building, I call it green. There's 12 drawers. I call it green because, you know, I'm not going to say it. You see it. And then there's 4 PC blocks in here, as well as a dead scav body, and then med spawns on this bench. And then from here, you can go out this back window. You can either go in there, there's some drawers upstairs, but typically I like to cut in here. You know, I'll go upstairs and I'll show you the door for the RBK, the rusted bloody key I mentioned earlier. You head up these stairs. You are going to have to climb a little bit if you do find that key. It's a little bit spooky. I will mention that rusted bloody key, if you find it, you cannot put it in your secure container like normal keys. You have to risk it the whole raid. And you have to get up here, and then you open this door with it. And then inside of there, maybe I'll put a clip of like an older video of me looting it, but there's lots of marked key spawns in there. And on PvE, those are going for tens of millions. On PvP, they're still going for millions. It's definitely worth checking. And then as you come down here, PC block, scav body. And then there's 4 rooms to hit in here. First of all, this one, drawers at a PC block. This bad boy has a rare spawn on the table here, as well as on the table here. And then a PC block there and there. And then you cross the lobby here. This room, I like because it's got a double duffel bag and a PC block. You usually get something good out of there. And then finally the pitbull room. The reason I call the building pitbull. Mr. Worldwide on the shelf. And then we have a safe here, as well as a PC block right there. And another stack of drawers. I just gotta entertain the loot goblin. We're gonna peek inside the safe, see what we got. A gold chain, not too bad. Now moving on from here, we're gonna go take a little peek at negotiation. So this is the building I pointed at earlier where I said there's some drawers upstairs. This is just the other side of the door. See if you go down here. This is the red door I was pointing at earlier. There's green. So if you were to come into here from green, there's a stack of drawers right there. You can just walk in and loot. And then upstairs, another stack of drawers there, as well as a barter spawn on the table here. I like vitamins. There's green bats. There's Tetris there sometimes. It's a good spawn to check. But then coming out the upper door here, or the bottom door, doesn't matter. You make your way to this road, like I said, green, red door. Farther up the road here, you go into this fenced-in parking lot. And then you go inside of this negotiation building. You got a duffel bag at the entrance, as well as on the ground right there. You open the door here. Now, I guess I should explain before we move further forward how the relax key spawns work. This relax key has a hard spawn. So every single raid that you open on streets, this key will be there. It just has 12 different spawns that you have to check. And it could be in any one of them on any given raid. The first one is right here on the easel. You'll see it right there. And then you want to check, there's like a tech spawn here, duffel bag. The second spawn is on the key hook right there. Even if you close this, it'll dangle in midair right there. It's easy to grab. The third spawn is on the shelf just to the right of this little pink box. The fourth spawn is on the back of the hookah here. You'll get a nice hover loot, white dot if it's there. And then, you know, mechanical spawn, weapon box if you're looking to loot. The fifth spawn is a negotiation. This locked door at the end of the hall is a negotiation key, the next on the list. There's a med bag. A couple of mechanical spawns here. The key will spawn right here next to the tip of this little meat cleaver. And then there's more mechanical spawns on the ground here. You get stuff like ratchets. These are worth 60, 70k. Aquamarine. I've seen super water and moonshine there. It's definitely worth checking all those food spawns. Anyways, the next spawn is on the coat rack right here. What is that? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 spawn is here. The 7th spawn is going to be in this little loop right there. You would see it sticking out. The 8th spawn is in the skull right here. It'll stick out of the little mouth hole here. It'll be in its teeth. The 9th spawn will be between the legs of the little man sticking out. You grab his member. Thank you very much. Whiskey spawn here. PC block. Duffel bag. A lot. You look through it all. You kind of hover loot these desks. You'll find some cool food items. The next spawn is going to be in this little tent. It'll stick out the edge of it right there. You'll see it sticking out. It's very visible. And then the final 2 spawns are in this back kitchen room. The first one sticks off of the back of the box here. So you'll see it underneath the box sticking out right there. And the final one, you walk up here and then you lean and you'll see it sticking off of the garbage bag right there underneath it. If you check all 12 of those spawns every raid, you will find the relax key as long as no one else has looted it. And then we're moving on. The next key on the list is actually, skipping the process, going to be CHEK 13, or the mysterious marked room key, whatever you call it, which is in this back corner. Now earlier I was saying duffel bags are a very good way to find things like evasion armband, but one of the places that I've very consistently found my evasion armband is in these pink suitcases. And one of the spawns for a pink suitcase is actually upstairs here, right here. These almost always have a clothing item or a gold item in them. This one happened to be a power bank. That's 100k in the bag. It's worth checking those every single time. Those are always filled with goodies. Anyways, this back courtyard area. If you're a little stash gremlin like me, you can hit the stash right here. And then there's another stash in the bushes right here. Hopefully it's here. Nope, it's not, but it'll be like right there. You'll see it. You know what a stash looks like if you're a gremlin. So you jump through the window here, open the door, take a left. Last door at the end of the hall, take a left. We're crouching, and you have to look down. It makes it really easy to get through the hole if you crouch and look down. And then down here, I've been ratted a lot on PvP by players sitting here, holding this angle. But if you come down here, you just kind of like jiggle peek it. Usually they don't hit you with the first bullet as long as they're a normal guy. And then you at least have the jump on them, or you're on even footing. If there's no one there, open the door on the left here. There's a jacket. And then I've also had PMCs sit above this, because the door is right here. So what they want you to do is use the mysterious mark room key. Use number 3 of it. And while you're locked in that animation, they'll uncrouch from here and shoot you. So if you want to, you can, you know, look around, peek it. You just go through here. You can see them. They'll do like this. So they'll peek over even and shoot you like that too. Or they'll just hold through the gap here. Anyways, inside of the marked room, just like before, we're looking for colored key cards, like a red card, baby. All around this circle, on the ground. Especially like right here. Right where this bullet is. On the ground right here. Underneath this motor, I've even seen stuff. And then like on the ground here. All over in this pile, there can be little container spawns. Or in this little pile of candles here. Just all over. What you want to do, as long as you're inside of this outer ring of candles, there should be an item on the ground. I've never seen an item spawn on these outer edges of the map at all. I've only seen them spawn on these inner rounds of candles, so you're pretty safe if you just check these. You'll see like a wallet here. This could have been a docs case. This could have been an ejector's case. A keys case even. Oh, we got a beautiful red card. Nothing to complain about. We'll put that in the docs case for the loot haul at the end. And then you can just kick this door to get out. Or walk all the way back and climb out the window. Moving on from here, the next one on the list is going to be the stairs landing, but the first key we're actually going to hit is upstairs. It's the iron gate key. Really quickly, if you're on PvE, you can check it. If you're on PvP, it's a little bit risky because this is a pretty high traffic area. But there is another one of these suitcases right there that you could hit. And then this is the CHEK building. There is a way to get in here. I'll show you it just for the sake of it. If you just vault up onto the window and crouch and look down and hit W, you can get in, and then you're inside. And if there's a guy holding the door down there, it's a perfect opportunity to peek him. Anyways, back out the door. I'm gonna grab my backpack. The actual door that I normally go in, especially on PvE when there's no competition, is this bad boy right here. The first spawn that you always check is the Biddy Rock. Right here, if you stick your face in it, you hover loot, you will see a white dot right around here. Otherwise, if it's a bigger statue, sometimes they'll roll down the rock. And there's a PMC body you can loot right there. And then down here, if you're in PvP, there are people, like I showed you before, they can aim down the hallway here. So if they're holding that gate, sometimes I like to jiggle peek and just eyeball it really quick, see if you get shot at. Then you walk all the way into the hallway here. There's some drawers here if you're looking to drawer loot. Otherwise, tech spawns on the table here. I've definitely seen GPUs there. There's a gold spawn on the box right here, as well as a PMC body to loot. Gold spawn on the floor here. Tech spawns on the table. PC block to hit. Lots of food and ammo spawns on this chair and on this bed. And there's a gold spawn in the magazine here, as well as on the shelf. And then lots of food spawns all around the outside of the kitchen here. As well as a tech spawn inside of this box. Sometimes I've seen decent tech items in there that you're looking for, as well as on the table right here. Otherwise, you go through this door. This is the hallway. There's the peak. At the end of the hall here, there's a med spawn on the floor here on the bench, inside of the box here, as well as a duffel bag on the floor there usually. And then a couple of mechanical spawns on the lockers here on your way out. And then on top of that, there's also a duffel bag right there typically, but I'm getting really unlucky with the dynamic spawns here. Anyways, this is the room that you vaulted into. What I didn't show you while I was in here is that there's food spawns on the table, as well as tech spawns there, on the shelf here, and on the right, as well as on the bench. I've only found a couple of GPUs there, but they're there. Anyways, you go up the stairs here. This door is locked. It's unlockable as well. It's not unlockable, but this top door is unlocked to get in. And then this first one, it's just like the rest of these iron gate keys, which is this bad boy. But this one's free to open. And even though it's free to open, this one has the best loot of all of them. There's statue and gold spawns on the ground here, as well as right there. In the corner here. On the ground, right here where this M cable is. As well as in the jacket right here where this pro kill is. You just gotta hover loot that one, they'll always sit under the jacket. On the floor right here, here, and there where this axle is as well. As well as in this emesis basin where there's a Veritas. And you'll see what I mean in a second here, but with the iron gate key, it unlocks this gate, which behind this bed on the floor right here, there's a spawn that can have a stim or a gold item. Gate number 2, which again, you go around the bed. It's a single spawn. Right here on the ground, can have a stim or a gold item. And both of these, it's only one per room. It's really dumb. This one, what is that? 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 11 spawns. One for each of these. And then this is the final iron gate one. If I had a scope on my gun, you could ADS right here and see if there's an item. But because I don't, I'm going to go in anyways. And you can see on the ground right about here, you would have seen a gold item. And then there's 2 bodies to loot as well if you're looking for any sort of hideout items or whatnot. And then going downstairs, this is a free gate. You don't have to unlock it. Just drop down through the hole. There's ammo spawns and food spawns on the bench here. As well as in the room here on the beds. In this back room on the table. You check all of those for sugar if you're really trying to get your rubles up. Otherwise, the only other thing that I check in here is the tech spawns back here. Right where this relay is on the floor there, as well as on top of the locker, you can get a GPU in any of those spawns. And in the back here, if you lay down to go under, this key right here on the left, I usually unlock this one first in case you need a quick escape, is the stairs landing key. Like I said, it doesn't unlock any loot, but it's a quick way out. So if you get in a fight, if somebody chases you down the hallway here, and you're in the middle of looting this key, which is CHEK 15, you can just have this door already unlocked. You don't have to go through the process of unlocking it. You can just sprint out and get right through. But before we get too into that, if you're looking to save money, you can just open the CHEK 15 key, or before you open CHEK 15, you can get up on top of here, and you could see on the couch here, you would be able to see gold spawns. Or you could also, on the shelf there, you could see the SGC-10 M cable. There's a little bit of loot there. You could pretty much gauge whether or not it's going to be a profitable use before you unlock it, but I like to just unlock it anyways because there's a lot of spawns on this side as well. On the bed here, there's one here. There's someone here sometimes. On the floor here, you do have to hover loot. It'll be inside the blanket. On the chair, on the table, on the ground in this little loop of the bricks. On the chair here, on the floor behind it, and in the drawer here. Those are all gold spawns. You could have biddies in any of those. As well as tech spawns up here. I've seen GPUs. And then gold spawn on the floor where this pro kill is. There's like this little angled thing. It looks like a little frying pan. It's just next to it. That's how I gauge it usually if there's a small item. Otherwise, there's a spawn on like pretty much every section of the couch here. It's like 4 spawns total, I believe. And that's CHEK 15. So moving on from here, you open up down here, drop down. This is that room with the biddy rock we were in before. You open the door here. This road is a little bit dangerous. We're coming up on the med camp. If you don't want to deal with the med camp, it's a little bit spooky for newer players. You could just go out the back door, go to the main road, and you walk through here, and you'll get to Concordia, which is where we'll catch up in a minute here. You could skip ahead to the Concordia block. Otherwise, the med camp. You want to avoid any grassy area around the med camp. They all have mines. All of this grass all has mines. Most of this sidewalk is a little bit iffy to go on. And then before you cross this, you always want to take out a nade and throw it. And then you have to stay to the left here. If you go anywhere in there, there will be mines, and you're going to get hit by a mine if you touch, like, even right there. The reason that you throw that nade is because if KABAN is here, this mounted machine gun will have a guard on it. And if you walk in front of that left yellow blocker, he has perfect line of sight of you on that first, or that middle yellow blocker, and he will gun you down. It's a one-shot kill. But before we go into the med camp, before I show any of that off, I want to show off the next key in the loop, which is, after Iron Gate, is TARBANK. And I have to run now, otherwise I'm going to die to a scav. This place you can't go into unless the med camp is cleared, because that gunner can see you through the window here and they'll gun you down. It's awful. I hate it. But these two doors right here are the ones I was talking about with this TARBANK key. Inside of these, let me show you, first of all. Uh-oh. I need to eat something. I want to show off the tech here. But essentially, as long as your attention, where is it, is over level 30, if you pop an Obdobos, which gives you plus 20 in attention down here, you'll have max attention. And Obdobos does drain your health, so you have to pop a Propatil at the same time. But with max attention, let me look at the skills again. It's to 60 now. You hit the safe. There's a 50% chance that it auto searches the whole safe instead of manually going through each slot. And you collect this. And just for the sake of showing it off, I want to show you guys how many rubles you get here. And I didn't want to sit here and wait for him because we have 5 minutes left to show off the last quarter of the map. Cool. Like I said though, 100 to 300k, it's pretty iffy. 50-50, you could also get GP coins. Look at that, 284k, 200 USD, 400 euros, and 2 GP coins from 2 uses of a 40k key. So I think that bank key is 100% worth it no matter what you're doing on streets. Anyways, moving on to the med camp. If Kaban is here, you're gonna have to clear him. I'm sure I have a video out where I've killed him. You could go look at how I do it. Otherwise, I'm sure there's guides out there if you don't want to do the digging. Anyways, you could walk around it. I like to jump over this. You land on top of the truck and jump over. This is yellow building, or aspect, either way. There's a gold on the floor here. And then on all of these little sections of the shelf, there can be a gold, as well as on top of the shelf here. There's a bunch of medical or stim spawns on the ground there, and all of these shelves. There's our Dobos back. That's a freebie. And then all of those shelves as well. And then in here, lots of drawers, lots of more drawers. There can be gold spawns on the table here, or right here, as well as a med spawn on the table here. I found a Ledex there 2 different times already. More drawers there. And then upstairs, no more spawns, but even more drawers. 8 drawers, 4 drawers. 8 more drawers. Drawers all over the place. This building is beautiful if you're on a drawer run. But because we have 4 minutes left, I have to hurry. So we're going to move on. Again, out this side. This side is the only side where you can walk on the grass. I explained it in my second to final PvE video. But essentially, this whole courtyard in the front, also mine-free. If you go anywhere past this parking lot edge, there's claymores and mines all over there. You will have your legs blown off, and it's not going to be a good time. But if you come out of that gate and you go to the right, this whole street and this whole sidewalk is all mined up. You see how the scav is standing on the street there? He's already dead. If you go below this curb, you're at risk of dying. You just want to stay above the curb here. But you can stay on the street. I like to run to the left of the pillars just so I have cover in case I get shot at, because it's a very open area. But then again, that grass, all mined up. This whole road is safe, but all of that grass is mined up as well. One of the final free spawns we're going to check here is in this building. I found 2, actually, during my PvE series, but on the floor right here, where the S-march is, there's a spawn that could potentially have a Ledex. And then inside here, duffel bag on the bench, right there. As well as a duffel bag there, there. And on the floor here, usually. And then break the window, come out here. And then next, if you're dealing with a player, you could go down, but I'm on a time crunch here, so we're just going to run through. I'm going to very, very quickly skim over these if possible, because I really don't want to have to load back in at this point. Anyways, this is going to be the CONC cinema key, I believe. Yup. Which has a rare spawn on the table here and here, as well as tech spawns all over there. I got 2 minutes, let's hurry. This is CONC 8. Yup. And there's a rare spawn there, there. On the bed there and there, as well as on the floor there, and on the table there. This is CONC 34, right after it. And this one has tech spawns all over here. They're going to be GPUs, as well as a rare spawn in the box here. and on the table right there. As well as food spawns there. I've seen moonshines a lot, it's worth checking. Duffel bags there, PC block under the desk right there. I'm sorry, this is so rushed. On the floor right there, there's a gold spawn. Up against that bushing. Otherwise you come upstairs here. This is going to be Concordia 64 is the first of the rooms here we're going to hit. Again, you're going to have to hover loot what I'm about to show you. But on the right here, there's a couch. There's spawns all over in here. You can see them sticking out. All gold spawns can all be Bitcoin. This whole couch on the floor there, there, as well as on the floor in that crack right there, all gold spawns. This is the Concordia office key at the very end. On the table here, as well as next to the PlayStation there and there, all gold spawns. PC block here, tech spawns, can all be GPUs. And then finally, Concordia 63 is the last key. We're gonna get it. We're gonna get it, I believe. On the table right here, as well as right here, there can be golds. On the floor there, tech spawn there. But the first three were gold spawns. And then in here, the final two rare spawns. There can be a biddy inside of the suitcase right there. And in these books right here where there's a Zagustin. And that's streets, baby. Hopefully this deeper dive into streets rubling can help a lot of you get a lot more bang for your buck on your runs. I've been hitting as much of this run as I can squeeze into pretty much every single street trade that I've run in the last 2 years, and although the loot has been drastically nerfed in recent wipes, it's still definitely hitting well enough to keep my bread up. Originally I had planned on dropping a full video about all the maps that I run for rubles, but seeing as this is already nearly an hour, and for the sake of making the guides as easy to find for people that want their specific map guides, I'm gonna call it here for today. But over the next week there should be a full labs loot guide dropping that might even include a little peek into the woods bunker as well, as I really don't think that's going to warrant its own video. If I have missed anything, feel free to let me know. I'm always keen to learn a little bit more on streets. I mean, it's been 2.5 almost years since I started playing Tarkov, and I still learn something new about the map like every other month. So yeah, let me know if I missed anything, but that's all I got for you guys this video. See ya.